What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Talk of the Tundra, a proud partner of the Eurostep Podcast Network and the Blue Wire family. As always, coming back after a little hiatus is me, your host, Numac. And again, your lovely and my lovely co-host, Jordan Tresky. Jordan, how you doing, buddy?
Doing well. The sands of time have passed. We are back. It's officially, not really, but we are looking towards 2023.
Yeah, finally.
He says on July 14th.
13th, yeah. Well, 14th is when everybody... But yeah, as of this past Tuesday, July 12th, we are 2 weeks away from training camp. So as you're listening to this, hopefully as it has hit your feeds, the instant it has, 10 or 12 days, math is hard, 12 days until Packers training
Yes.
camp starts. So all of a sudden it's right upon us and we are ready to talk some football. In case you haven't been paying attention, that's just fine. Hasn't been any Packers real news in about a month. I took a little
Yeah.
vacation, wasn't even in the country, missed absolutely nothing, and had nothing before that. So it's it's been barren, a wasteland of Packers news.
A teenage wasteland.
Okay,
The Who?
I who?
Baba O'Reilly?
I yes,
Let's not get off track.
we're off the rails. It's been what, a minute and 40 seconds. Let's go, baby. Here we go. So, in case you haven't read the title card or the title of the podcast on your smartphone, we are taking a trip around the AFC. We're going to go through all of the marquee signings and departures and talk about a couple of the draftees from each team in the AFC. We'll go in order: the AFC South, the AFC North, and then the AFC East, and then the AFC West, which is the AFC division the Packers play this year. So, without further ado, let's start with the AFC South. Is there any particular team you want to start with, Jordan? I feel like we should start with the number one overall pick Texans, but we can go where your heart desires.
I think you're hitting the right spot. It's the excitement.
They went spending.
Yes.
I was looking at their list of teams that they or players that they had signed, and by golly, by gee, did they spend some money this offseason. I believe I gotta find my tab here, but they signed. Oop, now I scrolled too far. Whoops daisies. Robert Woods, Shaq Mason, Shaq Griffin, Dalton Schultz, Jimmy Ward, and Sheldon Rankins. That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of skill
Like
guys,
they,
guys that are going to commit to,
mm-hmm,
building this thing back up.
mm-hmm. And it's not a bad thing, but like Larry Tunzel's deal is pretty big, 50 million guaranteed. Shaq Mason, the former Buccaneer at right guard, his deal is 22 million guaranteed. Malik Collins, they re-signed him or signed him into an extension. Him and Larry Tunzel got an extension, 18 million for him. The only like significant departure that they had that is gonna affect them even at all is the Brandon Cooks departure. He got traded to Dallas.
And they benched him by the
Yeah,
end of last season,
right.
too.
Like he wanted to be traded, and the Texans were like, nah, and just benched him, and then eventually traded him to Dallas. And the other departure that we'll talk about later with the team is I'm gonna butcher this man's name. I'm sorry. Ogbonia Okoroquo. We'll go with that. So, but yeah, obviously the marquee story of the offseason for Houston Texans drafting C.J. Stroud and Will Anderson Jr. at picks 1 and 3 in this year's draft. So they're going to be a new team. They're going to be a new team. I don't know if we'll be any good, but we're going to do a little bit over under
New coach,
predictions
too.
and records. Yeah, they got, is that Raheem Morris, right? No,
No.
D'Amico Ryans. Yes.
Yes.
There we go. I listened to a podcast to talk about next week, and that's why I said Raheem Morris. Alas, but yeah, I guess what do you think of the Texans going haywire in free agency and slapping their big money bag down the table?
Um, is bound to happen.
Okay.
3-13-1 last year. Um, and they made the move for a quarterback, obviously with the first pick. They're still in the early rebuild, whatever you want to call it, stages, but you also have to put talent around them, even if it's Robert Woods is like kind of like a perfect example of like he was a really good role player for the Rams, then gets hurt, went to Tennessee last year, and it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of like a loss. I mean, I feel like we kind of looked at him as like, if his market is really low, maybe the Packers go after him. But
Right.
that's the kind of guy that you would want to have around a team that's really young still. Obviously, it's all about building around Stroud and just kind of, putting the right pieces for him to succeed because you're on the clock. You know what I mean? Like you're on the clock to get him, and then it's like, okay, how do we actually make him, a worthwhile NFL starting quarterback? Because just because you have the first pick and you take him doesn't mean that it's automatic success too. So
Right.
yeah, I just think low expectations. It's the start of the program. D'Amico Ryan's obviously a very successful coordinator at San Francisco before this. Seems like a good guy to like restart the culture and everything like that. Um, and just given all the stuff that was around the Texans for a long time in terms of like hiring and firing coaches after
Right.
1 year. Yeah, I mean, it's like it's time to kind of get serious again. So hopefully, for their sake, that they kind of put the pieces back together of just like being a normal NFL team again. That
Right. And for what it's
is worth.
worth, yeah, and for what it's worth, they went spending, but it's not like they were like they became one of the top salary teams in the league. They just didn't have a whole lot of money and allocated across their team last year. And so they have Larry Tunzel on the roster, and he's their top paid player. So I think his contract is 3 years, or no, he's got about 25, 28 million dollars annually until 2026. So he will probably expire, not expire, but his contract will run out about the time they start needing to think about paying Bryce or CJ Stroud. So it's not like it's an unsustainable level of spending. Like you need to spend now while your QB is cheap, anyways. That's kind of how we've seen teams build contenders as of late. So why not go spending now and see where you can get with the CJ Stroud in this first deal.
Yeah,
Also drafted Will Anderson Jr., as we mentioned, the edge rusher out of Alabama, right? Or no, Georgia? Alabama. We did
Alabama.
Alabama. Now I'm going to double check myself just to make sure we don't look like goofballs. Um, the It was Bama. Good thing we checked. They also drafted Juice Scruggs, strong name alert, a center for them.
That's just one strong name alert.
Yeah, just great name. And then Tank Dell, wide receiver from Houston. So
Yeah.
they replace Brandon Cooks with Tank Dell as like the they replace. Probably got Robert Woods to do that as well, but it doesn't hurt to draft a rookie receiver with your rookie quarterback. Like
Yes.
it's good to have those guys kind of on the same pathway, a la I think no Tua and Jalen Waddle were a year apart. So was Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, but the same idea of having
Yeah.
young quarterbacks with young receivers developing together. So, alas, I think record predictions now. This is where we get into the fun of it.
Let's get
They
let's
still
get to it.
have they still have Damian Pierce, who is good, believe it or not. Nico Collins is their like other starting wide receiver, so take that with I guess whatever size grain of salt you want to do. But then they shouldn't be too bad on defense. We'll see. They signed Jimmy Ward and Shaquille Griffin, so along with Sheldon Rankins and drafted Will Anderson Jr. So I don't think they'll be stand out, but I think they'll be okay. Over
What are you
under. I guess
thinking?
we'll do over unders. I think this will be I'll be better.
All right.
What did they go last year?
3-13-1
Over 6. Over under
under.
6. You think under?
Even though that division is really cupcakey.
They also play the AFC North, and the NFC South, it looks like. Or no.
Oh,
Nope. The NFC South and the AFC North are the two
oh
teams
God.
they
Those are gonna
play.
be some inflated wins. I still think under.
I'm gonna go over because I'm looking at their schedule and it's it's pretty easy,
But
dude.
you're banking on a lot of young guys clicking.
Right. I just think
That's the
the
one thing.
variance is there. Is kind of where I'm going with it.
It's true.
The middle of their season is starting at week 5. Falcons, Saints, bye, Panthers, Bucks, and then they face
Oh
the Bengals.
God.
The Bengals they'll probably lose to, but then they go 3 straight against the Cardinals, the Jaguars, and the Broncos. They end the year with Tennessee, Cleveland, Tennessee, Indianapolis. Like they could go on a 4-game winning streak, Jordan. So I
That's insane.
also I should stop over under 5.5. I'm not doing the pushes. You can still say under. I'm just letting you know I changed my line.
I will say under.
I'm saying over. I think they get like 6.
That's where I was before, and then you changed the rule.
Alrighty, moving on to the Colts. Um, Obviously the biggest thing that came out of their offseason was drafting Anthony Richardson. Um, I think they're gonna stink, dude. They um they lost Dennis Kelly. He hasn't re-signed anywhere. He was a free agent, hasn't signed anywhere, but
He's probably done.
probably, but still a kind of a staple of their offensive line. Um, Bobby Oricki, he played a lot for them last year. He went to the Giants, and they traded Stephon Gilmore to the Cowboys.
Cowboys, yep.
So it's really not looking too hot for them. Like they're kind of starting probably Gardner Minshew or Anthony Richardson. Like on ESPN's depth chart, they have Gardner Minshew starting at quarterback, which kind of makes sense because Richardson's raw. I think he's gonna do his best having 1 year to develop, but I don't know, man. They still have Jonathan Taylor. They still have Michael Pittman Jr. They lost Paris Campbell to the Giants, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
That sounds right.
I do believe that is right. Their only notable signings are Isaiah McKenzie, who is the old slot receiver from the Bills. Matt Gay got a big deal from them, the kicker, and Brashad Perryman. Like, that's really all they did. And then they didn't really sign anybody else. Like, they didn't re-sign anybody else notable from their team. And then they drafted Josh Downs, who I guess they're really high on, but still a rookie.
North Carolina, right?
I
Wide
believe
receiver.
so. Yep. He's a receiver, but then also drafted Julius Brents, a cornerback. So, they had to have been what, like 4-12 last year, ish, or 4-13,
Four, 12-1,
4-12 on all probably tied against the
presumably tied
Texans.
with the Texans.
Um,
New coach too, Shane Steichen.
he is the Eagles guy, right?
Yep.
The
Yep.
Eagles offensive coordinator. So, I will set the over under at 4.5. Actually, you know what? There's probably a better way to do this. You go with four
I
and a
was
half.
I was gonna say
There's
those
there's gambling sites that do this. But I'm setting the last one at 4.5. So go with
okay.
that one.
We can go back to the Houston one and the Indy one. I will say over.
Over 4.5, huh?
They're not a good team, but they also have a top three player at his position, at a very valuable position
Mm-hmm.
that could dictate games. What? Oh,
Um,
there's a face.
um, no free ads, especially for
We
fucking
have
gambling websites. But of the ones I'm looking at, 6.5 is generally the over under. But one of them has over under 2.5. So I guess we'll go with six and a
I'll take
half.
the over there.
We'll go with 6.5 on that one.
Um, Six sounds right, so I'm gonna go under.
I'm going under. I think they don't get to 6. I think they kind of hover where they were on last year. I don't think Gardner Minshew is a big upgrade over Matt Ryan. I don't think. I don't know,
Mm,
dude.
Matt Ryan was
He was bad, but Gardner Minshew hasn't played in years. Like outside of that
yeah.
magical run with the Jaguars, he hasn't really done a whole
Even
lot.
then, he won what, like 3 games
Yeah.
or four?
So yeah, and hopefully Jonathan Taylor has a pick me up year after his sort of down year last year. But yeah, I think they just need to wait for Anthony Richardson to develop on that for
Yeah,
that point. I was close. I was on the money for the Texans over under 5.5.
I will still. Yeah,
So yep. Um. Okay. Jaguars.
pesky cats.
Those pesky cats for real. Re-signed, rather franchise tagged Evan Ingram, who was really good for them last year. Trevor Lawrence, after throwing 4 interceptions in the first half of their playoff game, came back and beat the Chargers there and played pretty well against the Chiefs. Only lost by touchdown in Arrowhead. Re-signed 2 of their inside defensive linemen, Roy Robertson Harris and Devon Hamilton. Interesting sort of decision from a team structure standpoint. They gave both those guys pretty big deals, so good for them. And then JaMychal Hasty re-signed with them as well as on a pretty small deal. Notably, Doug Peterson, I think, is going to continue to do pretty well with that team because he just does things with bad teams, apparently, a la the Eagles and now the Jaguars. They signed Ernest Johnston, the old Browns backup. That
Oh yeah,
yeah,
I was like that name. I was like, what? That name looks
yeah.
familiar.
When like before Nick Chubb was like Nick Chubb, he was
Yes.
the backup for I think Kareem Hunt or whoever else was there. It was just kind of a good third string running back who ended up being running back 1 a couple times due to injuries.
Mhm.
Their major departures: Jawan Taylor, one of their offensive linemen, went to the Chiefs. Probably a pretty big loss for them. He got a big deal from the Chiefs, and then Marvin Jones went back to the Lions. So, right,
Mm.
is it back? I think it is back.
He was on the lines previously. Yes.
Yeah. So they lose a wide receiver threat, but they still have Christian Kirk, who quietly had a really good year last year, as well as Zay Jones. Is Zay Jones
Yep.
there?
Zay Jones. Yep.
Just wanted to make sure I wasn't off my rocker there. Oh, and they get Calvin Ridley this year.
Pretty
Like,
good.
I think they're gonna be good. I think they're gonna be good. They drafted Anton Harrison, a tackle, presumably to replace Jawan Taylor, and then Brenton Strange, tight end, in the second round. Or yeah, second round. Notably, or no, it was after the Packers drafted Musgrave, but
Yep.
they didn't take Tucker Kraft. So that's good. And strong name alert, running back Tank Bigsby.
Oh,
Strong name alert.
that is a wonderful. A lot of tanks. A lot of tanks
Tank
this
Dell,
year.
Tank Bigsby.
Um,
Ooh, I got
I'll
good.
tell you, the Jaguars would not tank.
They are not tanking this year,
What is
despite
the over? They're 9-8 last year. What is the over under for this year?
9.5.
Over easily.
Yeah,
This division's. Someone is going to take this division handily.
yeah. This division is bad. Um, they have a little bit tougher of a schedule. They face all of the division winners from last year.
First, yeah.
So, they face Kansas City week 2, Buffalo week 5, San Francisco week 10, Bengals week 13. So, kind of tough that way. But other than that, they still have a
They
pretty.
could split those games.
I think they could too, depending. They face Kansas
San
City.
Francisco, depending on what the hell is going on with that quarterback situation.
They face Kansas City and San Fran at home. So that's good for them. Really good for them. Actually they face all of Kansas City, Buffalo, and San Francisco all at home. Holy moly! So
Uh,
over nine and a
uh,
half. I think yeah, over 9.5. Because there's no way they go 9-8.
10 wins is going to win this. I know I'm literally saying this when the Jaguars won 9 games last year
Yeah,
and won the division. But
but
comfortably,
yeah,
usually,
and
10 games wins it.
and for what it's worth, like again, The last team we'll talk about. I think regresses pretty freaking hard.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of them.
But yeah, they face like I think they beat the Texans and the Colts pretty handedly in all those games. Like division games are tough; they're always kind of a toss up. But I think with Trevor Lawrence continuing to progress and Doug Peterson doing his magic with him, along with the wide receiver core, I think they're gonna be just fine. Like Travis Etienne Jr. is pretty darn good, but between Christian Kirk, Calvin Ridley, and Zay Jones and Evan Ingram,
That
they got a
really
passing attack.
acquisition, whenever they did that, because I was like, I want to say that was during the playoffs or
What happened?
something. When they made the deal for Ridley,
No, they signed him, I believe. I think
I thought that
let me double check Spotrac.
I thought the Falcons traded him.
Maybe. Oh, that you know what? Because I think you're right that he was suspended with the Falcons in March of yeah. Suspended
On
from the
November
Falcons.
1st, he
Yeah.
got traded. So that was a sneakily like
Yep. For
sly
a
move
fourth
to
round
like
pick.
that's nothing.
That's crazy. He was good.
He was very good.
640, 730, and 800 yards or in his first 3 years, playing 16, 13, and 15 games. Had
And I
10,
give
7, and 9 touchdowns. He's good, dude.
as
He's
long as
good.
you don't gamble.
So, anyways, the over under for the Jaguars was 9.5. So yeah,
Yeah,
I
over.
think they go over pretty easily. Um,
They can make noise.
I think they're gonna make a lot of noise, a lot of meowing happening in Jacksonville. Last and certainly probably least, the Tennessee Titans.
Ugh.
I think they're gonna be bad. I'll keep it PG for now, but not good. Not good.
They're not tanking,
They're not tanking, which is the problem. Bud
but they
Dupree,
have this is what the third straight offseason where they have or second, whatever it is. Their team is considerably worse. Like
yeah,
they traded AJ Brown to the Eagles. He makes it to the Super Bowl with them in his first year with them. There was someone the year before. They were talking about trading or cutting Ryan Tannehill, but he's presumably going to be the starting quarterback. Derrick Henry is going to run 2,000 yards again for the year as long as he's healthy.
that so the
As
asterisk on
long as
that
he,
last part of that
yeah,
sentence is a
yeah.
huge asterisk. The Titans
They
are
just, yeah.
they're in the mix for DeAndre Hopkins, which if DeAndre Hopkins was any sort of smart, he would run away from that franchise as fast as possible. I saw a tweet today. It was like, for the love of God, DeAndre Hopkins, do not go to Tennessee. And it was a picture of Andre Johnson, Julio Jones, and some other random, like, really good wide
Yeah.
receiver that then left. Or was like,
Randy Moss.
yes, that's who it was. It was Randy
Yeah.
Moss.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not great. Not great.
No.
So, going back to their moves, they lost Bud Dupree. He didn't play a whole lot with them last year, but still a pretty significant loss for them. Robert Woods, as we mentioned, their center Ben Jones, left tackle Terry Luan, who
Yep. That was
was
another big one.
injured but still was around. Like, I guess losing him isn't so painful because he was out last year, and I think the year before that with an ACL injury or an elbow injury, one of the two. But then they lost Nate Davis, another person on their line, and Austin Hooper. Not the biggest loss, but a loss nonetheless.
Yeah.
And they re-signed left guard Aaron Brewer, and then Jeffrey Simmons got his deal early in the offseason. So that's a bright spot on that roster for sure. And then signed Andre Dillard, the left tackle from the Eagles. He didn't play for them last year. He was injured, but he did play for them in years prior in I think 19 and 2021. I don't think he played the COVID year. And it was okay according to PFF's grades. So their draft, Peter Skoronsky, tackle. They needed him to replace Taylor Lewan and the others that they lost on their line. Notably drafted Will Levis after drafting Malik Willis last year. So do with that information as you will. And then Tyjae Spears, the presumed replacement for Derrick Henry eventually. So, again, not a big fan of their offseason. If they end up mixing in DeAndre Hopkins, it might be like somewhat okay. But looking at their roster, they're still starting Ryan Tannehill. Their wide receiver room is Traylon Burks, Nick Westbrook, Akeem, and Kyle Phillips. I, Numac, am a Traylon Burks believer. I
It was
do
good
not
against the
think he can
Packers that
carry.
one game.
Right. I just don't think he can carry the passing game.
No.
He would have done really good next to AJ Brown. He probably could do well against with DeAndre Hopkins next to him, but it's kind of up in the air. If Derrick Henry stays healthy, that's fine. But I'm sure noted GSPN co-host, beloved GSPN host, Ty Windish, called them Pittsburgh South with Mike Vrabel's voodoo magic.
He's not wrong there,
He's not wrong.
but they also were 7-10 last year.
Yeah. Which
They
is
tread
like,
water to some degree,
yeah.
which is kind of their whole building philosophy.
Yeah. It's also
What's
not a
the
good way to do the NFL.
no? What's the over under?
The over under. Caught me off guard. I apologize.
All right.
You're good. You're good. 7.5.
God damn.
I'm going under. I do not think they're going to be good. Do 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 do.
Over barely.
Over?
I think they're 8.
Yikes!
Otherwise, it's like
I just
the Jaguars are gonna like go 13-4 or something, and
yeah.
the other 3 teams are like
Props.
they might have a combined wins of 13.
Like
It's not out of the realm of possibility.
their defense was kind of their calling card last year, but
They win games really crappily.
yeah, they're ugly. They're ugly, ugly, ugly wins. But man,
Including
Jordan,
against your Green Bay Packers.
that game was a stinker. I just don't know if I can see Ryan Tannehill doing enough to win games. And like, I think Derrick Henry is one of the best people that ever run the football. He's got a lot of mileage on him. A lot of mileage. He's 29. It's not a good age to be as a running back in the NFL.
It's also 6'3".
Yeah, 6'3", 250 at the age of 29. I got a barn out back for his NFL career. It's not coming well. There's a reason
Whoa.
I drafted Tyjae Spears in fantasy. I think I hope not, because I love watching him run. Like, watching Derrick Henry run is insane when you realize how big he is and how fast he moves.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's long for the NFL season. But I hope to be proven wrong.
It could be his one last good year before he turns 30.
His last dance.
Actually, I think contract-wise, he's not long for the Titans either.
Yeah, I think you are right on that one.
Because he signed a shorter deal when he was a free agent last time. I remember that.
Mm-hmm. He is a unrestricted free agent next year.
Huh. There you go.
Mm-hmm. I think so. Yeah. Yeah, he is.
I like how we're talking about Derrick Henry. Like last year was the down year. He had 349 carries, a league leading, by the way.
That's the problem.
15. I know. 1,538 yards, 13 rushing touchdowns. He had 65 first downs.
It's crazy, but like,
It's crazy.
he was banged up most of the year. Like,
He was.
it's just tough, dude. Like, again, it's a good year, but compared to his other years, like, he played, I guess 2 years. Maybe I'm thinking of 2 years ago when he played 8 games and had under 1,000 yards. But
He had the Jones fracture or something like that.
yeah, that was 2 years ago. But in 2020, he had 2,000 yards, Jordan. The year before that, he had 1,540, and the year before that, he had 1,000. Like, I think he's just. I think it's a lot of mileage. Since 2018, 200 carries, 300 carries, 378 carries. Jesus Christ. 219 carries in 8 games. That's insane pace. That's yeah, they still played 16 games in 2021. He was on pace for 440 carries in 2019, Jordan. Do you understand how much they run Derrick Henry?
Yeah.
Like that's crazy, dog. That's a lot of carries. For what it's worth, he did miss a game last year, but that's neither here nor there. Alrighty, you said over and I said under.
Yeah. Just
I
barely.
think I could like. There's a lot of gap between the over under blind and where I think they end up.
Yeah.
But I'll probably be proven wrong because they win in the ugliest fashion known to mankind. Moving on to the AFC North. We spent a lot of time on the AFC South. Half an hour.
The crappiest division.
That's right.
30
All
minutes.
right.
Oh my God.
AFC North. Start with the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson got his deal. Good for him. Happy for that. Re-signed Justice Hill, their running back, one of their multiple like carousel of running backs they always have between Gus Edwards, Justice Hill,
J.K. Dobbins.
J.K. Dobbins. Like one of them is going to be hurt, and one of them is going to be running the ball this year. That's just how the Baltimore Ravens are. They signed Nelson Aguilar and Odell Beckham to finally give Lamar Jackson some sort of weapons on the outside there. I think Odell Beckham is going to be good for them. We'll see with Nelson Aguilar. Obviously, that's a bit different knowing Nelson Aguilar. But they also have Rashad Bateman, the old Minnesota quarterback, Minnesota Gophers wide receiver, not quarterback.
Yep.
Drafted Zay Flowers, my beloved. And then Devin Duvernay as well. They still have him, but none of those guys were re-signed or anything, just making a note. Their only like big departure was Clay Campbell, who signed with the Falcons. So
That's a pretty big one.
they traded that safety that was like a 7th-round pick safety. Not Ryan Clark, something Clark.
Elam.
Hmm?
Elam?
Maybe? I don't know. I forget his name. But they traded him to the Jets.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Why is his name escaping me?
I'm literally Googling Ravens safety traded to Jets.
Thank you. I'm trying to find it on the transaction page and I cannot find it.
Chuck Clark.
Thank you. I was almost there. But yeah, that's really all that was kind of their offseason. It was kind of dominated by Lamar Jackson and Odell Beckham news. So, what was their win total last year?
10-7.
I think that's about where they're going to be. 10.5. Do you want me to tell you who they face?
Yes, actually, that would inform.
They face the AFC South, it looks like. The AFC South and the... Man, I wish I could just have competent eyes. Looks like the NFC West. Yeah. NFC West and AFC South.
They were 10-7 last year. Lamar played 12 games.
Mm-hmm. I think they're over, but I also think that this division is going to cannibalize each other.
As it usually does.
Always. It says something when the worst team in the division is the Steelers, who are bad this year, I think. We'll get to them
And they
in a
were
little
what?
bit.
They were surprisingly like 8-9 last year.
That was like the first year that they went sub 500 in like forever.
I'll go uncomfortably under.
I think they go over for the sole purpose that Lamar Jackson actually has a wide receiver worth a damn. No slight to Devin Duvernay or Rashad Bateman,
Rashad Bateman.
but Odell Beckham is just that much better than both of them.
What does he look like healthy though?
Coming off an ACL, it's a wonderful question, but I'm not going to slight Odell Beckham until he gives me a reason to.
Good. Yeah, that's fair.
Moving on to the Bengals. We're going fast now. We're going fast. The Cincinnati Bengals. Key re-signings, Drew Sample, and that is it. Tight end. They kind of are in a similar spot to the Eagles the Chiefs that we'll talk about later. They lost a lot of people. Lost both of their safeties in Jesse Bates and Von Bell going to the AFC South to the Falcons and Panthers. Also lost Hayden Hurst to the Panthers. Eli Apple is gone. Samaje Perine signed with the Broncos, and Trey Flowers left as well.
That secondary is pretty decimated right there.
And to combat it, they drafted Miles Murphy and Jordan Battle, which is Jordan Battle was the safety from Alabama, or no?
Yes.
Yes, safety from Alabama that we had looked at as a possible late round acquisition for the Packers or draft for the Packers. Ultimately, obviously didn't work out or didn't happen. So it's going to be interesting for them for sure. Obviously Super Bowl competitors 2 years ago against who would they play? The Chiefs? Nope, they didn't play the Chiefs. They played the Rams.
Rams.
They played the Rams. So I think they won their division last year, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, they did because they had that game against Buffalo that actually mattered.
So they were
when
12-4.
12 and 4. Oh yeah, because they canceled that game.
Yeah.
So I guess what do you kind of gave a look for those of you not watching the video. You kind of gave a look when I talked about their departures. What was your opinion on all those people leaving?
Just a lot. That's a lot. That's a lot of the Super Bowl secondary. And, maybe they had reason to move on. I mean, obviously they couldn't afford all of them.
Mm-hmm.
But to lose three or four.
To lose both of those safeties hurts.
Especially, yeah, that's the thing. Bates is really good.
And Von Bell was good. He's like, okay,
yeah,
good.
as good. Yeah.
Like the Packers would kill for Von Bell.
Yeah. So that's a big ding. Big ding. But it's still the Bengals and they're loaded for bear.
Yeah. They signed Orlando Brown Jr. That's a big get for them. Former Raven and then former Chief, I believe. So to shore up that offensive line, which has forever been the story as when Joe Burrow's been
I believe Jonah Williams asked for a trade too, and he still has not been traded.
I believe so.
Yeah.
But this team will go as far as their offense takes them, frankly. Obviously Joe Burrow, they still have Joe Mixon, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Tyler Boyd. Like they're going to be a high-flying offense for as long as they can ride it, essentially. It'll just be, I think, a season for them defined by if they can score consistently enough, and if that new look secondary will be able to hold them off.
Over under.
I think it's a 9.5. I'm sorry, 11.5.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Under.
I think I'm also going to say under. But I don't feel good about it.
No, me neither.
But I don't.
Because you can win at least 12 games.
Actually, you know what? I'm going to say over. Because I don't think the Browns are as good as they think they are. And I know the Steelers aren't.
The Browns are never as good as they think they are.
And I think that either the Ravens or the Bengals are going to... I think both make the playoffs. And so the AFC isn't weak, but it's not... super strong either. I think they can easily squeak into the playoffs with, what is that? 12 wins. Not squeak, but you know what I mean. So yeah, I'll go over. I'll go over. The Browns, the Cleveland Browns, got a new logo. In case you didn't see that,
They did. Dog pound.
it's significantly better than anything
Great.
they've had in the past. If any of my friendly Cleveland fans listen to this, Brownie the Elf is freaking stupid. It's a dumb logo. I don't care for it. The elf is so dumb. I don't know why it's there. I don't care. I don't care to learn. I just know that I look at it and
I
think
don't care to learn.
I think it's stupid.
Uh,
Their key re-signings, Ethan Pokic. I'm gonna go for Pochich, their center. Key departures. Jadeveon Clowney was not happy in Cleveland. Has not been signed anywhere else, but was not happy in Cleveland. He is out of there. Biggest rivals. Good friend Zadarius Thomas. Or Zadarius Thomas. Zadarius Smith. I read Dalvin Tomlinson, a former Giant and Viking, signed there, and my brain went numb for a second. Rodney McLeod, former Colt, and Elijah Moore, traded from the Jets to the Browns. Again, my beloved. Once Aaron Rodgers hopeful. Oh, I ruined the bit. I ruined the bit.
I knew you would not be able to stick with it.
Once he who not shall not be named asset.
Uh,
But they still have talent on the team. Like, it's not to say that they're bad. I just don't think that they've got it to really get there. Like, Deshaun Watson still has to show that he can put a season together after coming on from the last half of last year. Nick Chubb still pretty good. IMO.
yeah.
They have Amari Cooper and Elijah Moore. Like, that's two good wide receivers. David Njoku, and then they still have Myles Garrett. They still have Anthony Walker Jr. Like, that defense is kind of suspect. They still have Denzel Ward. He's good. So,
Ricky Williams.
yeah, like, it's just gonna be touch and go. I think with the Browns.
Go runner.
9.5.
Oh my.
I'm going under.
They were 7-10 last year.
Yeah, I'm going under.
9.5. Oh,
I think they got better, but I think that so did the Ravens. So did the Bengals still exist.
Bengals got worse though.
Yeah.
Steelers iffy.
But I think that's the divisional part of this too. Divisional games in the AFC North are insane.
It's-
Let me see who they play. Let's go through a brief schedule look because I think
well, they will have the last place schedule.
They will. They do. Yeah, they face Chicago. That's a good thing for them. They also face the Jets. They also face
They
they face Arizona in week 9, so maybe Kyler's back by then, which doesn't really matter. That team is kind of bad anyways.
I think they might
Face Houston. I guess I don't want to say over because I really don't think they do.
I think they're at 9.
I think I'll say 9 with you.
Yeah.
I think they're over 500, but I don't think they make the playoffs.
Also, I looked at the origin of Brownie the Elf.
Why? I told you I don't want to learn. I'd rather be ignorant.
Brownies were said to live in people's homes and only come out at night and do minimal household or farm chores. It was customary to leave a bowl of fresh cream out for the brownies by the hearth of their services. If not, or if the cream was not fresh, the brownies would leave the home forever or perform mischief. Reading this from Dogs by Nature, the SB Nation Cleveland Browns side of old world folklore regarding brownies. So
or
that's
perform mischief. If I don't have a
that might be
cream,
that might be our slogan for Talk of the Tundra.
If
We
I
don't
don't
have fresh
have-
cream.
if I don't have a bowl of cream on my
we're gonna
front
perform
porch,
some mischief on you.
I am performing all of the mischief. I'm glad I learned the history. That was some funny. That was some
There you
funny
go.
stuff. All right. Last but not least, the Steelers. They re-signed Larry. I'm going to butcher this man's name. I'm sorry.
Ogunjobi?
Ogunjobi. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. Former Bengal and Brown with multi-sack years for both teams. I think that's a good re-sign for them if they're going to continue to be identified as a defensive first team with Minka Fitzpatrick and TJ Watt. Might as well keep a guy who's capable of having. I said multi-sack years. I'm pretty sure what I intended to say was double-digit sack years. So around 8, 9, 10 sacks. So key rivals, they took on Allen Robinson because I guess someone in that building believes Allen Robinson is still good at catching the football. Couldn't be me.
You gotta talk yourself into it every now and
I
then.
guess you have to. Patrick Peterson, P2P, obviously former Viking, and then Keanu Neal, former Buccaneer and Falcon. What are you laughing at?
P2P.
It's his name. It's his nickname.
Really?
Yeah, Patrick Peterson.
Peer-to-peer network?
I don't know what you're talking about, so I'm going to ignore it. Key departures: Cam Sutton and Malik Reed. Cam Sutton went to the Lions, and Malik Reed went to the Dolphins to reunite with Vic Fangio, who he did really well with in Denver. So, did you Google Patrick Peterson's nickname and find P2P?
I did not see it.
Well, now I need to Google it. So, I guess what do you think of the Steelers? They still have
They still have Kenny Pickett as their quarterback, and I don't know if he's going to be good.
Kenny Pickett, noted haver of small hands,
Yeah.
little baby tiny hands.
Also, they were 9-8. Sorry, we were wrong. They were not sub 500. They were above 500.
That makes sense.
Um,
Mike Tomlin is physically incapable of going under 500.
that earns you a lot of credit with over unders too. So I'm sure they're on that 9-10 straddling line. Oh, and they're good at drafting. I know they have been on leaner years, but they draft really well.
They drafted Broderick Jones, big guy out of Georgia, offensive tackle.
Wisconsin
Yeah,
tackle too.
yep. Keanu Benton,
Benton.
the defensive tackle. Joey Porter Jr., little nepotism action. And then again, my beloved Darnell Washington. So they got significantly better in the draft, I believe. Maybe it doesn't help this year.
Who's their running back again? Najee Harris?
Yeah,
right?
Najee Harris. I'm not a Najee Harris believer. I'll blame my fantasy team from last year. But he had down year last year. Good year his rookie year, down year last year. Kind of just the running back story in today's NFL. 8.5. All you listeners, worth checking out the the video this week. That is a terrifying, terrifying scene.
Over because
Over because you have to.
yeah.
I think it's weird that there's an entire division that's going to go over 500, but alas, they
I
probably.
mean, they nearly did that last year.
Yeah. So
They're the 4.
moving on.
That was a hard one.
Moving on. The AFC East. Surely there's nothing we can talk about in this division. So we'll start at the bottom. The New England Patriots. Notably resigned Jonathan Jones, cornerback, secondary player from last year. Obviously, from last year they resigned him, but kind of harassed the Packers a little bit last year.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, like
Jordan-
legitimately one of the best corners in the league.
yeah. Who was the fella that just got arrested from them? It was their other young player.
I don't think I saw this.
Patriots player arrested. Jack Jones.
Oh, okay. I love how
He tried to bring 2 guns on an airplane. That's gonna get you arrested. Happened June 17th. So, not a good look for that man. But he's also still very good. He's one of the better corners in the league too. They also re-signed Jabril Peppers, formerly of Giants notoriety, former Michigan
and
player,
Cleveland.
and Cleveland. Yeah, yep.
He was in the Odell trade.
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
Yes, he was. They signed Mike Gesicki, the old Dolphins tight end who was in trade rumors all of last year. James Robinson, the former Jacksonville Jaguar running back, who was had a really good year and then fell off the face of the
Traded to the
earth.
Jets too.
Yeah, that's right. Yep. They signed Juju Smith-Schuster, which is an important get for them to have any sort of pass catcher for Mac Jones.
Yeah.
And then Riley Reef, offensive lineman. I believe he was of
Vikings?
Lions. What'd you say?
Vikings?
That might be right.
And no, it's a North team.
Riley Reef. Vikings. Look at you. Wait, there's a picture of him in a Lions, Vikings, and Bears jersey.
Well, I guess he's done his tour of duty.
He was drafted in 2012 by the Lions, so I was right. And then played for Minnesota for 5 years. So you were right. And then
And played for the Bears last year.
Played for Cincinnati for a year, and then
What?
played for the Chicago last year.
What? Interesting.
That was funny. You said you know it's a North team, except for the Packers. He kind of got
Yeah,
the
it's
tour.
everybody but the Packers.
They drafted the Patriots did Christian Gonzalez, cornerback out of Oregon. I think he was the top cornerback in the
Was this,
draft. It was a weak
yeah.
cornerback draft, but he was the top one. Keon White, a defensive end, and Marte Mapu, a linebacker from Sacramento State, who we had kind of looked at too briefly when we went through
Yeah.
the draft monster PDF from the Athletic. Major departures. Damian Harris signed with the Bills. That's a big loss for them. He was sort of their two punch to their one of Ramondre Stevenson. So that'll be an interesting thing for them to navigate. And then Jacoby Myers signed with the Raiders. So they traded Jacoby Myers for Juju Smith-Schuster. I guess Jacoby Myers isn't too big of a loss after he
Threw the ball to the.
threw the ball to the Raiders.
Mhm.
I was trying to put it more eloquently, but that's about right.
They were 8-9 last year.
That sounds right. But their third string running back, tell me you haven't heard this name in a while. Ty Montgomery. He's still kicking apparently. Ty Montgomery
Good for him.
is apparently only 30 years old.
What?
That is surprising.
I felt like he was in that like Seattle game.
Ty
The terrible
Montgomery
one.
is a year and some change older than Derrick Henry.
Ugh, I hate getting old.
That's right. The New England Patriots, the AFC East in general, plays the NFC East and the AFC West.
No.
It's a tough year for them. This division is really good, and they face a really good division and a really good division.
3 out of the divisions that they had to play are pretty, probably the best of the
So
league.
they face the Chiefs, the Raiders, the Chargers.
Chargers,
Two of three of
Broncos.
those teams are playoff teams, and then they face the Eagles, the Giants, and the Cowboys, all who made the playoffs last year, and then the Commanders, who have gotten a little better. It's a tough gig for the NFC East. It's gonna be a fucking bloodbath, dude.
What's their over under?
I can't imagine it's high. 7.5.
I might go under.
I think I have to go under. I'm not a Mac Jones believer, and
No, and there was a lot of stuff that
that's a tough schedule, dude. They start the year, Jesus Christ. They start the year Philly at home, Miami at home, at the Jets, at Dallas through
yeah,
their first 4
your
weeks.
season might be done.
And then they face New Orleans, which is like, New Orleans might be okay.
Toss up at least.
They end the year with Kansas City and then at Denver, which is just hard in general, and then at Buffalo and then home against the Jets. I don't
Under.
think they're going to win a lot of games.
No.
Under. Under. The Miami Dolphins re-signed their pair of 49er running backs that they inherited when Mike McDaniels got the head coaching job. They re-signed Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson. For what it's worth, I think two very good deals for them. Like, I think that they're pretty darn good tandem as a running back duo. The issue is that they maybe kind of get Dalvin Cook. Who knows? Like, he's still a free agent, still out there.
Him and Hopkins are like probably the biggest ones left.
Well, it's Zeke, Cook, and
yeah,
Zeke, Cook, and Leonard Fournette are all free agents, which is crazy, by the way.
That is crazy.
They're all kind of on their way down, but Leonard Fournette was good last year.
Fournette was pretty good last year.
And Dalvin Cook was also good last year. He's got injury concerns, but it's not like he was bad. Noted arrivals. They traded for Jalen Ramsey, which is interesting.
Yes, that was not for a lot, too.
Yep, not for a lot. They signed Mike White just in case they turn Tua's brain into more mush than it already is. But they did pick up Tua's fifth-year option as well, which is an interesting thing. And then as we mentioned earlier, Malik Reed they signed to team up again with Vic Fangio because Malik Reed did very well with Vic Fangio in Denver a few years ago. Departures: Mike Gesicki, as we just touched on. Eric Rowe, I think he's one of their safeties, signed with the Panthers, and then Byron Jones, but he missed all of 22 with an injury, so not that big of a deal.
Yes, as he publicized.
Yeah. Only 4 picks for the Dolphins, as they had one of them taken away because they were trying to make Tom Brady a part of their team. Cam Smith, a cornerback, Devin Arcane, a running back from Texas A&M, and then a 6th and 7th round pick. So the Miami Dolphin window is right now.
Yeah,
it's right now. They have to be good. That's kind of it. I think they'll be good.
Over under, they were 9-8 last year.
Should have been more, but Tua's brain turned into
and they were a
mashed potatoes. They were a playoff team? Yeah, they were.
They played the Bills in the...
I think that's right. That is right.
No, they didn't play the Bills.
Are you sure?
Bills had the best
record. Chiefs. Might have been the Chiefs.
They did play the Bills.
Yeah, that's what I thought. 9.5 for the Dolphins. 9.5 for the Dolphins that still employ Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle.
Over.
Yeah. And Christian Wilkins, for that matter. Man, this team should be good, dude.
They have the top pieces.
They have all of the pieces they need. They just need to put it together. Like Christian Wilkins, Raquan Davis, Xavier Howard, Bradley Chubb, Jalen Ramsey.
I forgot about Chubb, yeah.
Yeah, like they should be good, dude. And if they're not, it's going to be bad because they traded a lot of picks to get Bradley Chubb, traded a lot of picks to get Tyreek. They need to be good. They need to be good. And I hope they are. Shout out my best man, Dolphins fan. Let's move on to the Bills because where else would we go? They re-signed Jordan Poyer, their safety, one of the better safeties in the league. As mentioned, they brought in Damian Harris from the Patriots and Deontay Harris, who is primarily a punt returner from the New Orleans Saints. He was a wide receiver, but primarily a punt returner. Drafted Dalton Kincaid for some reason, even though they have Dawson Knox. So kind of writing on the wall there. As well as Osiris Torrance. Strong name alert, Jordan.
That's a wonderful name.
Strong name alert. And Dory Williams, a linebacker. Lost Devin Singletary, who plays for I believe the Texans now.
I was just saying.
And then Tremaine Edwards is a big loss for them, who signed with the Bears, former Wisconsin player, right? Yes, maybe. I forget. I'm not entirely sure that's right. I think I might be thinking of the
Are you thinking of
the guy from the Eagles that signed with the Bears as well. Also, I apologize. It was Tremaine Edmonds, not Tremaine Edwards.
Yes, because there's Tremaine Edmonds and there's Tremaine Edwards.
Tremaine Edwards, probably the man I was thinking about. But Tremaine Edmonds, which was the guy they lost. Big deal, I think he got too. So,
Yes.
um,
13-3 last year.
notably, Stefan Diggs is freaking pissed. And do you want to know why? It sucks. Because so do the Bills. And
Yeah.
you know what? They don't know either. So I think the running theory amongst fans and just general people around the NFL is that he's pissed about losing in the playoffs. Maybe this is a way to get them light a little fire. I don't think it's the right way to do it, but alas. This is kind of the same thing that happened with the Vikings, for what it's
I
worth.
was gonna say
Still,
again,
still have James Cook. He's their starter.
new defensive coordinator too. I believe Leslie Frazier left
I believe that's right.
or stepped down, whatever it was after what happened.
Right. Still have Tre'Davious White in the secondary. Still Von Miller, if he can progress well enough to be healthy again.
It was a big contract too.
Yep. Leonard Floyd's still there. Micah Hyde's still there. So we shall see. Over under. I want the Bills. Like, there's a lot of teams in the AFC I want to win. Like, I just feel for a lot of these teams. 10.5 for the Bills. It's the same thing as why all these teams are at 10 and a
Because they
half.
lost. I mean, they did lose their starting linebacker, who is probably their best defensive player.
Right. And the fact that their schedule's going to be freaking tough.
It's really tough.
Because I'm guessing, if I'm not mistaken, I would bet they play the Vikings as well. Not that that's some sort of death knell, but they don't. It looks like, but I thought they would have, but apparently not. Given the whatchamacallit, the schedule and facing the number one
First,
seeds.
yeah. Over.
Over 10.5.
Yes.
Yeah, I think you kind of have to. Yeah, they face the Chiefs. I guess we said that this division does in the first place, but I'm trying to think who their other ones are. Oh, they face Cincinnati. That's hard. Tampa is their other one. And
Easy.
it looks like Jacksonville is their other one. So, not one out of those three games is tough, but Jacksonville, I think, will be tough for them too, but they play them at home. So,
Yeah.
10.5, and I said over. You said over as well.
Yes.
All right. That's it for the AFC East.
AFC East.
The New York Jets notably re-signed Solomon Thomas. Drafted Will McDonald, ISU, or an Iowa State edge rusher. Joe Tittman, Wisconsin, offensive lineman, and a tackle, Carter Warren. Big departure, Sheldon Rankins. I believe he was he went to Houston. We said that earlier.
Yep.
And Elijah Moore, like we said earlier, drafted or traded to the Browns. Key arrivals on the team: Alan Lazard, Adrian Amos, McCole Hardman.
Mhm.
Big loss for the Chiefs. Billy Turner, Randall Cobb, and at quarterback, they added Tim Boyle. Oh, and Aaron Rodgers.
I feel like we've talked about the Jets so much because of just how
Many Packers they signed.
Packers they signed, the trade packages that we kept like, well, what players do you want to return? You know what I mean? Like we know what they are. We know that they have to win.
Yep.
They're very kind of cut and dry. You know what I mean? 7-10 last year.
Two
So
things.
they do have the benefit of playing a schedule,
Quote unquote easier schedule.
yes, but as we know,
It's not an easy schedule. Their first 4 games, we'll go first 6 games. That's until their bye. Buffalo, Dallas, Patriots, Kansas City, Denver, Eagles. First 6 games.
Denver and New England are the easiest ones, and even Denver, we haven't gotten to them yet. I have
Yeah,
no idea what to make of them.
yeah. They made a lot of moves in the offseason,
And they did.
but
And they got a
they
big time head coach.
they need Russell Wilson to do things, which
Yeah.
is the biggest aspect that is on that team. For what it's worth, they end the season really easy. Commanders, Cleveland, and Patriots. Not really easy, but that's fairly easy in context of the season.
What's their over under?
It's gonna be. I think it's gonna be like 11 and a half. If I were to take a guess, I think Vegas is
Because
probably
if the
high.
Bills are 10.5 and
Wow, 9.5. I think they're over. I think they're over. I think even though for everything we said about Rodgers all of the off season, we're not going to relitigate it. I think this team has a lot of talent outside of Rodgers. I should be perfectly clear about that. Garrett Wilson, Al Lazard, very good. Brees Hall coming off of an injury, he'll still be very good.
he is really good.
McCole Hardman Jr. is a pretty darn good third string receiver. I think their biggest question marks are going to be the line. We'll see how that goes for them. But then, two things of note that I think I've said that I didn't say. Quinnen Williams just got his big deal, 4 year,
Yes.
$96 million today. That was announced. And they're going to be on Hard Knocks. So I guess I won't be watching Hard Knocks this year.
That's not good either.
No. I'm pretty sure the Jets were vehemently saying they don't want to be on Hard Knocks. But then HBO, once they say it, I guess whatever the contract is, once HBO announces the finalists, you can't back out of it. So, Sauce Gardner still exists. So he's still out there.
However, you got me.
Yeah, I think it's over. I think it
We
just has
may
to be over.
also, now that they are Hard Knocks,
There's a joke coming, I know it.
we might have to talk about things again.
I don't know if we have to. We'll leave it to you, listener. Join the
Yeah,
Discord.
we'll leave it to you.
Join the Discord.
We'll certainly be watching.
gspn.info. Go check out, join the Discord. Tell us if you want us to cover and watch the Jets season of Hard Knocks. And if you want to talk about it yourselves, talk about it in the Pop Culture channel because Aaron Rodgers talk is a not allowed in Packers Pals. That is a rule instituted and judged by me, your host, Numac. I've got a little band hammer. If Aaron Rodgers' name is spoken in that channel, it's kapow. You're no more. But alas, let us know. Let us know if you want us to talk Hard Knocks. If enough people say they want us to, I will bite the bullet and do it. But boy, howdy, do I not want to do it.
No. We'll only do the relevant stuff. That is what it is.
Yeah, everybody that's not Aaron
We're
Rodgers.
laying down the ground rules.
Anywho's will be AFC West, last one. We'll start with the Super Bowl champions. Also of note, this is the division the Packers play. So
Yes.
we will see all of these teams this year. Start with the Super Bowl champion Chiefs. Really active offseason for them. Really active, which kind of happens, I think, annually with the Super Bowl winners. You just put your best team forward to get there, and then it kind of just has to fall apart because you can't spend all that money. Their notable re-signings, Jerick McKinnon is really the only one. I think it's an important re-signing for them for the sole purpose that they have Isaiah Pacheco and Clyde Edwards-Helaire is now an unknown for that team, essentially. So,
McKinnon's like their James White.
yes, that's exactly what he is. Arrivals, we said Juwan Taylor, as we mentioned. Drew Tranquil, Mike Edwards, and Donovan Smith, mostly just bolstering that line.
Donovan Smith was a pretty big one, too.
Yeah.
He was a good lineman for a while with Tampa Bay.
They drafted Felix Anaduke Uzama. I think he's the Northwestern fella, the edge rusher.
Yep. Or no, Kansas State.
Yep, that's right. Yep, the purple fucked me up. And Rashee Rice, he fast. He real fast. I believe he was... Why is it escaping me?
SMU.
That's what I wanted to say, but I didn't know for sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's SMU. This is the important part. Departures.
Yeah.
Orlando Brown, big loss for them on the line, but Juwan Taylor helps. Juju Smith-Schuster, they traded for him, and ultimately he leaves to re-sign somewhere else. McCole Hardman, Andrew Wiley, Juwan Thornhill, and Charles Omenihu. So I think my biggest like hesitancy with the Chiefs and doubting the Chiefs at any point is typically not a smart thing to do. But that receiving room is tough. Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Kadarius Toney, and Sky Moore, and Rashee Rice, as we mentioned. They really, really, really like Kadarius Toney, and with understandably so, he played well for them last year once he was traded. But that's a lot of unknown outside of Travis Kelce. It's a lot of unknown. It's not even like I shouldn't say MVS is unknown. We kind of know just what he is, but he's not a wide receiver one.
No.
Sky Moore is in year 2, I believe, maybe year 3. Just to double check my
Year two.
year 2 he was drafted last year,
Yeah.
but only had 22 catches for 250 yards last year. No touchdowns.
Kadarius Toney's, I mean, he's year 3, but he also could make a huge
He
leap.
he was hurt, I believe, his rookie year with the Giants, and then kind of flamed out with them early last year, and they traded him for pennies on the dollar, and then played well last year. 2 touchdowns, 170 yards on 16 catches. And I think that was in not a lot of games.
No.
Um, 8-ish. So not a whole lot of games.
14-3 last year.
Super Bowl champions. Still Patrick Mahomes, which is a good person to have. If you could believe it.
Same for Travis Kelce.
Yeah, same with Travis Kelce. They lost Frank Clark too. That I forgot about that.
Yeah, he's a free agent.
He signed with the Broncos.
Oh.
Yep. Yep, he signed with the Broncos. Which is again, big loss for them. Over under for the Chiefs is I think going to be in the double digits. 11.5.
Over.
I'm gonna go under at 11. Then they go 11-6.
Hmm.
'Cause like we
Okay.
said, they play the NFC North this year. I think that won't be too big of an issue for them.
No, I think that might be a
But then
clean
again,
sweep.
we just kind of flip flop this. They also play the AFC East. Like it's gonna be
Yeah.
tough, I think, for them. And I really am hesitant to believe in those wide receivers. Like, could they run Isaiah Pacheco and throw to Travis Kelce all the time and that's their offense?
The
Maybe.
problem is it's very fair to not believe in their wide receivers all taking the leap. They have the greatest difference maker to make that happen.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no doubt. Like, totally reasonably thing to say without a doubt. Like, that's a fair argument to make. I'm just not there.
You think they signed Sammy Watkins to help out their wide receiver core?
They would be smart to sign DeAndre Hopkins. I just don't know that DeAndre Hopkins wants to sign a vet min deal to go there.
I
what I
believe
mean?
he does not,
Right.
from
Right.
what I've seen.
He like if he wanted to sign a vet min deal, he would have signed somewhere already and just played with the team. But I'm guessing he's looking for a bigger contract than the Chiefs can obviously afford. But going through the Chiefs' schedule, they play the Packers week 13 at Lambeau, December 3rd. I'm trying to find 6 losses here. At the Jets versus Philly. They beat Philly last year,
Dolphins, maybe.
but they home against the Dolphins, so the Dolphins is a maybe.
Oh,
They face the Bengals. So 4 maybe there. They face Buffalo, maybe 5. I don't know. I think they have a good chance to win over that 11.5 mark, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're at 11. I'll put it that way.
yeah. Especially if the injury bug hits them.
Or they just can't get like that. I just think the receiver issue is the biggest thing. Like they have so much turnover and churn on this team. Like it's just it takes a second. Like you had just won a Super Bowl with all these guys, right? You
Yeah.
haven't You don't have that chemistry now amongst a pretty significant amount of spots throughout the roster. Because it wasn't like the guys that left were just random third string guys.
No.
McCall Hartman played. Like
Oh, he
Orlando
was there
Brown
for a while
played.
too.
Juju played. They all played. It's just like, well, they weren't just random third string guys. They were important pieces of that team. So
Yeah.
that's my issue. Um, I guess we should have done the Chiefs last, but oh well. The Broncos. The Broncos. They re-signed Alex Singleton, their linebacker. Um, they made some moves in the free agency market. Like we said, signed Frank Clark. They signed Mike McGlinchey. I think that's like whatever the opposite. It's a weak name alert. Mike McGlinchey's a weak name. Right tackle, posted.
That's actually the name of Brownie the Elf, Mike Vinci.
Ben Powers signed as a left guard. Samaje P. Ryan, the old Bengals running back, and Zach Allen, an interior defensive lineman. So I think investing in the line is going to be good for them. Hopefully, to keep Russell Wilson upright and just give him more time to hopefully do anything of substance. Drafted Marvin Mims, who they apparently love at receiver, and Drew Sanders, a linebacker. Biggest departure for them was Draymond Jones, who signed with Seattle, an interior defensive lineman. So replaced Draymond Jones with Zach Allen. Not a one-to-one replacement, but at least they filled the hole with a significant signing. I'm going to be curious as to what the Broncos over-under is because I don't think it's going to be high.
They're 5-12 last year. They got Sean Payton.
8.5. Are they going to be over 500 or under 500 is kind of the idea here.
That is essentially what they're asking.
I think they're under. I think they probably go 8, 7 or 8. Again, they face the AFC East,
North.
the AFC North.
Those are
and the other teams in this division are good.
They're not the worst team in the league or in that division. That's for sure.
Not anymore.
I'm going to say under. I think they get to 7 though.
I think they can get to 7. I think they probably
Maybe
hover
9.
7, 8. I don't think they get to 9. I think you have to win a couple of division games to get to 9, and I don't think they do that. I think they win like one.
Who's their running back?
Javonte Williams, I believe is his name.
Yes, he's coming off an injury.
Yep. Pretty sure that's his name.
Yeah.
Yeah, Javonte Williams. They still have Jerry Jeudy, Colton Sutherland, and Tim Patrick. Like, this team should be good, which is why
Jerry Jeudy, let's see it.
why they canned Nathaniel Hackett after 1 year.
Yeah.
Like, again, Frank Clark, DJ Jones. Who's there? One of their Pat Surtain is a good secondary player as well. So, moving on, the Las Vegas Raiders, still the employer of Devontae Adams, and fresh new employers of Jimmy Garoppolo, O.J. Howard, former Buccaneer, Texan, and
Bill,
I believe. Tight end. And then Marcus Epps, I think, was a corner or a secondary player for the Eagles. Jacoby Myers, who we mentioned earlier, and Austin Hooper. So a lot of additions. They franchise tagged Josh Jacobs, who's not very happy that he got franchise tagged.
Wouldn't be either.
Right. Key departures, though, Darren Waller, they traded to the Giants for insert silly reason here. Matt Collins, one of their wide receivers, he was third string, but he did have some impact plays. Foster Moreau was diagnosed with cancer and then subsequently signed with the Saints and has said, "I'm cancer."
I believe he's going to be cancer
free, which is
Crazy.
A wild month of news for Foster Moreau because we had talked about him as possibly a Packers target.
Yep.
I was like, "Welp, he has cancer. Get well soon. That sucks." And then not a month later, he signed the Saints. So glad to hear it. And then obviously Derek Carr. Derek Carr also going to the Saints. Drafted Tyree Wilson, the second edge rusher off the board. And
Ex-Tech guy.
Yep, and Michael Mayer. I think he was the second tight end off the board in round two.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure
Yes.
because Kincaid was round one to the Bills, and then Mayer
Yep. And
went
then
then
Mayer
shortly
was.
thereafter in round two.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think it
Doesn't
went.
matter.
It doesn't matter, but I'm pretty sure because now I'm going to say it. It went Kincaid, Mayer, Sam Laporta, and then Luke Musgrave,
Yes.
and then Dingus that we talked about earlier, and then later Tucker Craft.
I just hear the words. It's just dingus.
Dingus.
Um, yeah, you're no Sam Laporta first, Michael Mayer right after.
Yuck. But okay. Um.
Raiders were 6-11 last year. Jimmy Garoppolo, there was thought to them cutting him because his medical there's a red
Yeah,
flag.
they signed him to the deal, but it never was official. Like they signed him and they had their whole press conference like canned and delayed and whatnot because they hadn't actually signed him yet. Right?
I think so.
I'm pretty sure that's what happened. 6.5 for the Raiders.
That's their over under. God, yeah, they're under.
They're under.
This
I just think the schedule this year is hard for them.
it's
Because,
hard to be. It's hard for them every year with that division.
well, yeah. And I think like it's just like you have 6 games against 2 playoff teams for sure, possibly a third in the Broncos. Like maybe if Sean Payton works devil magic as he's known to do, he can make the Broncos into a respectable team. And then you're for sure fourth in that league or in that division. But then going against the NFC North,
NFC
like the
North.
Lions are going to be good. Packers will be okay. Packers will be able to compete with the Raiders for sure. I don't know why you gave me that look. The Vikings and then the up and coming Bears. I just think it's a tough year for him. Like it's gonna be hard. Like
Sorry, Devontae.
truthfully, I wouldn't be surprised if Devontae got traded at the deadline. Like I just wouldn't be surprised if they're like, man, we kind of stink. Like
Trying to
maybe
salvage it.
maybe there is some sort of injury to a quarterback around the league and they trade Garoppolo and try and get on the train for Caleb Williams from USC. I believe that's his name. I'm never confident on these things.
No,
Since
you're right.
college football is the bane of my existence. Yeah. So maybe they kind of go that way. Like if they're, let's see, what is their schedule like? Because Jordan, can you look up when the trade deadline is this year?
It's usually after week 8.
It's early.
Let's see.
Schedule. Well, their schedule isn't too hard to begin with, but boy,
October 31st.
okay, so yep, you're right. It is after week 8. Denver, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, LA, the Chargers, Green Bay, New England, Chicago, and Detroit. And then the deadline. So they could win some games there to make them believe it that they could
They might be enough to
to keep it stable. But then this is the issue I have with
slopes.
it
down.
drops off a cliff. This is the issue I have with the NFL trade deadline being so early. Like it's halfway through the season as to where most other sports, baseball
usually
and basketball,
2/3.
it's usually 2/3. I would just hope like 10 like week 11 I think is much better because then you have 6 games to get right with your team essentially.
It would honestly probably even fuel more trades.
It would fuel
too.
more because this is exactly what's going to happen. They have an easy front of their schedule. Their hardest game is Buffalo. Like that's a hard game, but that's I think the only game that's like a scheduled loss for them. After that, week 9 it starts with the Giants, the Jets, the Dolphins, the Chiefs, the Vikings, the Chargers, the Chiefs. They have a little bit of respite in the Colts, and then they face the Broncos to end the season. Like I don't think they win a game until from November 5th until Christmas. I don't think they win a game. They might go a solid 2 months without sniffing a win. frankly. You laugh. Show me the lie.
Mark Davis with his binoculars looking down.
That's a tough schedule, dude. The Giants are going to be good. The Jets are going to be good. The Dolphins are going to be good. The Chiefs are going to be good. The Vikings, we'll see. I'm sure they're going to be good.
They're gonna be good.
The Chargers are
Good
going to be good.
upsets.
We'll talk about them in a second. Chiefs are going to be good. Like, this is it's a hard stretch
That's
of schedule,
terrible.
dude. Like, if I forget it's not Mike Mayock anymore. Whoever their GM is would be smart to, I think, trade if things are looking even the slightest bit tenuous in Las
Dave
Vegas.
Ziegler.
Sure. I just think that if they're anything less than 4-4 through 8 games, you just gotta send it. You can't get caught up in thinking you're winning. Honestly,
Yeah.
like, you just trade all you can trade. That's anything worth. Trade Josh Jacobs to a contender. Trade Devontae to someone he
Devontae.
wants to get to. Get like legit a few first round picks for Devontae.
Probably some defensive player that's gonna be good and that they can
Right.
offload.
Like, it's well, I think they still have Max Crosby. Like, we fall into this trap of, if we're going long on the Raiders for no specific reason. We fall into this trap in thinking that the NFL should operate like the NBA and that they should sell players to tank and do things like that. It never ever works that way. Like, they won't trade all their stars to
No.
do it. Like, they probably won't trade Max Crosby. They probably won't trade Devontae. But if they do, they're trading. Excuse me. They're trading like one of them, maybe. Right. But
Chandler Jones is on this team.
right, exactly. Like, they could trade Chandler Jones for like a few picks, like not maybe a fifth or so. But if they're gonna be bad, swings are good in the NFL in good years, if that makes sense. Like, in good draft
Yeah.
years. Fifth round picks pan out sometimes. They've seen it before. They will happen again. If you can just get mid round picks for some of these fringe guys, Chandler Jones, Marcus Epps, who they signed, like, if it's just not working out, I say screw it and just kind of go for it, because they're not really building towards a whole bunch right now. And I think Jimmy Garoppolo is good. I don't know if he actually is good enough to. I don't think he's the rising tide that's going to lift all of these ships, to put it in a weird metaphor.
Mildly.
Yeah.
No.
Sorry for that, folks. I just had Raiders opinions that apparently I needed
Raiders
to.
discourse.
I had Raiders opinions I guess I needed to get off my chest. And last team, the LA Chargers. They didn't do a whole lot this offseason. Re-signed Trey Pipkins.
Retained their coach, which was a big question mark once upon a time.
I have a friend who is a Chargers fan, and he is not happy.
Oh.
It's just, I think they probably should have fired him as well, but that's neither here nor there. You look like Wendy. They signed Eric Kendricks, former Viking. So thankful to not have him in my life anymore. It's really nice. Drafted Quentin Johnson to throw next to Mike Williams and Keenan Allen, so that'll be exciting for them. Still have Justin Herbert, and drafted Tuli Peloto, a defensive tackle.
Also re-signed Austin Eckler after there was not rumors, but I believe he wanted a trade.
I do remember that. But yeah, still good, Austin Eckler.
Very good.
I'm trying to find their depth chart here. Yeah. Gerald Everett at tight end, but I really like their passing game. Justin Herbert, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, and Quentin Johnson. Like, I just think they're going to be good that way. Still have Joey Bosa, still have Asante Samuel Jr., and still have Derwin James Jr. Again, and Khalil Mack we forgot about, in case you forgot about them. This team is the Dolphins, but in the West. They have...
Do you know who their offensive coordinator is?
Joel Philbin.
No, he's a popular name.
It's a popular name. I feel like I should know him.
this will be his first year with the Chargers. Used to be with an NFC team.
Oh, is it Jim Bob Cooter?
No, Kellen Moore.
Oh, I do remember this now. They didn't fire their coach, freaking Wingus Dingus the third, but
Brandon
in
Staley.
Brendan Staley,
Yes.
but instead kept him for
Beefed up his
Kellen
offensive
Moore.
coordinator.
Yeah.
Yes.
I remember this now. I do like that for them for what it's worth. I just am hesitant to not discount the coaching, the head coaching. Because, like,
It's fair.
I think there has been sort of murmurs and just sort of rumblings amongst the fans that they really don't like him. Like, I think they wanted him gone pretty hard last year, frankly. Like, Brandon Staley has the ire of Chargers fans. Brandon Staley, notably, if I'm not mistaken, if I'm wrong, if you know, Jordan, part of the whole Sean McVay coaching tree.
Yeah, he was the Rams D coordinator.
He was
It wasn't.
from 2020. He was the Rams D coordinator, just in
Yeah, he
2020.
was only there 1 year.
Yep. Other than that, full coaching history, he was a trying to think of he was the D coordinator at a couple college teams, including John Carroll and James Madison for a while. And then in 2017, he was the outside linebackers coach for the Bears for 2 years. Same position with the Broncos in 2019, the D coordinator for the Rams in 2020, and has been the head coach ever since for the Chargers. So weird that he got a job for the Chargers after the Rams gig, but that was like a year the Rams
They
didn't
were
go to the
really good
playoffs.
defensively.
They
They
were.
did. They went up against the Packers that year.
They did right. But like that's the year they lost to the Packers, but like it wasn't like but they went to the Super Bowl the year before.
Two
Or
years before, I
2 years
think.
before, 2016, I think that was, or 2018. Yeah, 2018. So 2 years before that. And then 2019 was whatever year. They don't think they made the playoffs. But then they got good after he left. Like it's just kind of a weird dynamic. But
Yeah.
notably, I think the reason he got this gig is the McVay coaching tree, but he also coached for Matt Nagy, John Fox, and Vic Fangio. A bunch of defensive guys. So take that for what you will. Over under, our last one. Los Angeles Chargers are at 9.5. I think they get over.
There's no reason why this team should not be
No. Again,
lower than
they're
that.
Dolphins West. They have all of the talent in the world. There's no
And they even
reason
got better.
and they got better. There's no reason this team shouldn't be in the AFC Championship game. Again, there's like 5 teams that say they should be there. Off the top of my head, Chargers, Bengals, Jets, Bills, Dolphins, Chiefs. That's 6. That all have a significant argument to say they should be there. And I'm probably forgetting one.
No, I think you're.
The North doesn't really have a team. Did I say Bengals? Did I say Bengals?
Yeah.
Okay. The South doesn't have a team. That's what we were saying. So it's gonna be tough. AFC
Over.
once again, still bloodbath. Yeah, over for sure.
Yeah.
That's it, folks. 16 teams down. 16 teams to go. Your favorite ones at the end, because you can't get away with getting the Packers at the first team of the next episode. Who do you think you are thinking you're gonna get the Packers right away? You gotta sit through them all. You gotta sit through the Bears. You gotta sit through the Commanders.
Oh,
But we'll be there for the insight for you. Happy to be podcasting again after our short little break. But training camp starts in 12 days. So we got to get through the NFC. That'll be that. Maybe, I'm not saying here nor there because I don't know the man's schedule. Andrew Snyder's Panthers are going to be talked about next episode. With new quarterback, short man, Bryce Young. We love a short king.
New coach, right?
Yes.
It's that man rule anymore.
It shouldn't be if it is.
Was that last year?
I think it was. I forget.
Who did they hire?
Frank Reich,
Ah, yes.
former Colts head coach, right?
Yeah. Who they unceremoniously fired.
Don't love that for them, frankly. But
Let me be frank.
right. All right. We will talk about the NFC teams next time. But before we go, it's time for a little self-promotion. As always, as aforementioned, GSPN.info for all things the Eurostep Podcast Network. Links to the Eurostep podcast, where Ty and Rohan are talking Bucks offseason. All of the latest and greatest Bucks news. Summer League's happening right now. Marjon Beauchamp, pretty good. Pretty good, I'd say. Andre Jackson Jr. I am in the Ajax nickname camp, by the way. Jordan, are you a fan of Ajax for his nickname?
I like Ajax.
I think Rohan mentioned AJJ, and I do not like that.
AJJ.
Yeah,
AJJ.
I also thought of that. I just can't do
AJJ.
it. It's too close to AJ Green, and it's just like it's a whole
Yeah, there's a
thing.
lot of AJs.
Yep. So, do you have any win in 6 episodes in the hopper?
Nope.
Perfect. Adam McGee, Andrew Snyder, talking the first place Milwaukee Brewers. I'm pretty sure.
Oh God.
I'm pretty sure that's right. I'm actually like 95% sure that's
I
right
don't mean to
because
laugh like that.
they were 2 games back of the Reds going into that
They
final
were.
series.
I don't think they are first place.
That's where you are right, Jordan. They are a game
Yeah,
behind
they're a
them.
game back.
Yeah, because you have to. Yeah. So I was wrong. Not your first place Milwaukee Brewers. However, if you go to the Cruising for a Bruising feed, you'll check out the latest episode talking about that series win from the of the Brewers over Cincinnati Reds. And spoiler alert, it's another weekend against the Reds. The Brewers face the Reds this weekend in Cincinnati, so it'll be another awesome series you're going to want to check out, as well as hear the analysis from the boys in blue, Andrew and Adam. Andrew and Adam also hosting Make Time for This, our pop culture junk drawer pod. Talking all things movies, TV. If I'm not mistaken, this is a sneak peek behind the curtain for all you listeners. Pretty sure the Bear episode comes out today. Don't quote me on it, but I'm pretty sure it's coming out sometime today or tomorrow. Today or tomorrow, Thursday or Friday, or Friday or Saturday. But it's coming. That's for sure. They also recently went into Wes Anderson's new movie Asteroid City, which I am dying to see, as well as
Population U.
yes, Population Me. The latest Spider-Man movie Across the
yes.
Spider-Verse, another movie I'm dying to see. So go check out those from Andrew and Adam.
Some are saying movies are back.
Not for long, pal. Not since the owners of said movies said they'd rather watch their employees starve and be homeless than pay them.
You know, that's a good point.
I saw a tweet today where it said that it's quite fitting that Barbie and Oppenheimer are going to be the last 2 big movies before Hollywood burns to the ground, because it's just the roaring 20s into the Depression.
Yeah.
So, alas, maybe if we're lucky enough, we'll get some masterful art similar to that of the Caveman TV series that we got at the during the last Screenwriters Guild strike. Are you aware of this? We are totally off the rails, and if you're still listening, thank you.
Caveman, like the Geico commercial.
The Caveman from the Geico commercial has a TV show.
I remember that. Yeah.
It was called Caveman.
Hmm.
It
I
ran
believe
for
Nick
it ran
Kroll
for
is on it.
once. It does have Nick Kroll. It has one season, 4.3 on IMDb. Not
Why was this brought up? What?
because this was made during the last
The
Screenwriters Guild
oh,
strike.
okay. So you want
I want more art involving
like
prehistoric.
the Charmin bear getting a sitcom
Yes,
and happening during the
the
writer's
real
strike.
thing, if we're going similar theme and tones, is Flo from Progressive getting her own show.
It's about. I mean, they might have to if this goes on until like August or whatever.
It's gonna be longer than that.
Yeah.
Methinks. Any who's will be peoples. Thanks for indulging us. Go listen to all of our GSPN wares. We'll be back early next week as we swing getting back into the swing of things with 2 episodes per week. We'll be back with the NFC predictions, obviously getting to the NFC North and Packers predictions, as well as training camp battles as we become or get less than a week out from training camp starting. So be sure to smash that subscribe button, rate 5 stars, and let us know that you love the show. All right, folks. Appreciate it so much. Thank you for listening. And Jordan, thank you.
Thank you.